Okay, good afternoon. Hope you guys are enjoying your spring break. All right, before we had class, 2 weeks ago, we talked about global strategy. So I use acronym L.E.A.D, okay, to emphasize how companies go global, okay? Help you remember the LEAD strategy, okay? So the L means licensing. I put licensing and franchising together, like McDonald's or Burger King go to other countries. That's more like franchising. But like Looney Tunes or other brands that go overseas, that go through licensing. Licensing, in a sense, is less risky. Normally, the licensee pays about 3 to 5%. Franchising is mostly more stringent because you have to pay the machinery, you have to pay for the routine, the management, the patent. Like Dutch Brothers, right? If you become a franchisee, you have to pay a down payment, okay? So I categorize licensing and franchising together. Overall, the risk is lower, okay? The E is exporting and importing, okay? I did my business, I'm known as Mr. DVD, mostly through exporting DVDs, of course other products too, okay? Some people say actually exporting has the lowest risk than licensing, but really depends what literature you read anyway. So exporting, importing is one of the ways to go global. Okay. The next one is A, is alliance, right? I call them joint venture. I give you examples like Nissan and Renault, also even Airbus, okay, is really a big joint venture among European countries, okay? Nissan, Renault, also the Chinese Ford, Mazda, Chang'an, we talked about that before. So all those are joint ventures, I put them under alliance, okay? The D is really foreign direct investment. And today, my purpose is really try to help you understand the importance, the highest return or the highest risk global strategy, that's a direct foreign investment. I want to introduce the OLI framework, OLI framework to you. Some people just call OIL, anyway, OIL, okay? So basically, when you do foreign direct investment, you could do horizontal. Basically, horizontal is like, okay, like Chinese Lenovo, the number one in China for notebook. But in 2004, they acquired IBM ThinkPad because they want to also be big in US. So they bought IBM ThinkPad. Of course, IBM ThinkPad was losing money, so they want to dump it also. So the Chinese are happy to buy it anyway. So mostly call this horizontal because you can go to many different countries. That's what Chinese Lenovo exactly did, okay? And also the Chinese Shineway bought American Smithfield because well, the Chinese love pork and Americans we like beef or chicken more, okay? So basically those are forms of horizontal foreign direct investment. The next one is vertical. Vertical means like you try to control the upstream and the downstream, okay? Upstream means your suppliers. So what does that mean? Suppose you're an oil company, you are Chevron, you want to buy the oil field, control the crude oil, control the process, the refinery, okay? That's upstream. So what is downstream then? Downstream could be the gas station. We know Chevron owns a lot of gas stations, right? Even in different names sometimes anyway. So that's called vertical integration. And actually the company locally, L.E.A.D, they're really are proud of their vertical integration. They buy sometimes in raw materials or intermediate goods, and they do all this quality control in Newburgh, and then they manufacture the dental equipment, the furniture and the closet, everything. Some goes up from 200,000 to $500,000 US. Okay, so they're proud of that. The vertical integration. Okay, they try to control from the upstream, that's the suppliers, to the lower stream or downstream, directly selling to their customers. Okay, so I want to use Tesla in China as an example to emphasize the OLI framework. Okay, some of you know, right? I talk about Tesla. Tesla is a brand name. It's something really we call disruptive innovation. I mean, they were not in car industry before. Now, because of electric car, they're the most well known. Okay, Tesla, right? We know the founder, Elon Musk. He's a genius. Some people call him a crazy guy. But anyway, Tesla wants to invest in China. The reason is because the Chinese market is so big, right? Now you're reading the superfusion book, and US and China. I mean, these two countries produce close to 50% worldwide GDP, okay? So 50% of Tesla's cars are sold in China. Yes, overall China is still a poor country. However, when you have the middle class and they like, to keep up with the Joneses, just like rich people here, we learn from Hofstra's cultural dimensions, right? Hofstra talk about masculinity and macho culture. People are looking for brand names and status and earnings to show off, right? So Tesla, look at China, and that's what I actually exactly did. So Tesla initially invested about $500 billion US in Shanghai, okay? And actually later on they borrowed another $500 billion US. So anyway, so it's one of the largest factory worldwide, okay? They have one in California, I think one in Arizona, right? So anyway, so I want to use this framework to talk about why Tesla wants to invest in China, okay? So the framework is actually very easy, okay? It's done by this British, very well-known scholar, Danin. So basically, a lot of scholars try to figure out, like, okay, why should we go direct foreign investment? We know other ways you can also make money. Of course, we know, right? The higher risk, the higher return. Okay. So the OLI framework only fits for direct foreign investment. Okay. First, let's get the concepts correct. Okay. I'm gonna go details on each one. The O is really ownership advantages. Okay. Basically means you have to own something, right? Ownership. In this case, mostly you have intellectual property rights, right? Tesla owns a lot of technology. The battery, the way they make electric car, right? It's not everybody else can be like Tesla. You have a founder, Elon Musk, just like Steve Jobs. You cannot clone the guy either. Anyway, there's a lot of reasons, but mostly because of the intellectual property rights, okay? They have patents, but also sometimes it's the way they manage things or the culture, okay? So it's very hard for other people, in a sense, to copy, okay? The next one is location advantages, okay? Particularly, we just mentioned, why would Tesla want to go to China, right? China got 1.4 billion people, But again, it's also because even with 10% of the Chinese are middle class, you get some super rich, you get more millionaires in China right now than in the US. So these millionaires likes to buy American car to show off, electric car, okay? I'll go details on that. Then why is Shanghai then? Shanghai is the largest city in China. If you count all those different areas, we call the satellite cities, could be like 25 million people there, okay? And Shanghai is also known for China's automobile industry. Okay. The next one, I, is really internalization. Okay, don't make a mistake here. A lot of students think it's like internationalization. It's not. It's internalization. Okay, that means actually you can have everything in your house internalized, and you can keep the secret, but also you can save money. Okay, so basically that's what it is. Okay, so let's go back to location advantages, right? So basically, you know, when you make a Tesla in a place, you need not just the technology, right? You need skilled workers. You need big space, you need big factory. You need other components, right? Because, you know, Shanghai, they already have a lot of car manufacturers there. That means they have places, they know how to make your car chassis, right? Or other stuff, the plastic or electronic stuff. Of course, you say, yeah, Tesla can manufacture so, but they could buy the components from China and close to Shanghai, because this will help them to have cost advantage. Okay, in management we talk about efficiency and effectiveness. Building a Tesla factory in Shanghai give you a lot of advantages. Okay, location advantage. They don't want to go to Beijing because what? Beijing is a political capital. You know, Shanghai is a commercial center. Okay, they don't want to go to Guangzhou because probably, you know, Guangzhou is the rent, you know, is much more expensive, and Shanghai government probably give Tesla, you know, a lot of incentives to come over. Okay, so that's why location is very important. Okay, then the question is like, okay, why would not Tesla wants to build a factory in India? Okay, but I can tell you at the moment, probably Indian customers or consumers are not ready for luxury cars. In the meantime, Chinese consumers are good at it. They say, why not in Japan then? Okay, but again, you know, Japanese are so good at making cars, right? They can occupy like 50% of market here. And Japanese not in a buying mood for American expensive car, I betcha. Anyway, so that's why a lot of reasons why location is so expensive, you know? I mean, so important, not so expensive, okay? So basically we're talking about the factory endowment, you know, the consumers, the government support, but also the transportation cost. Shanghai is one of the most developed areas in China. And government regulations, Shanghai government, it's under the central government directly, they can give a lot of incentives to Tesla because what? Tesla can provide jobs there, you know? So anyway, so there's a lot of reasons, infrastructure, when you said that, you know, you go to China and not just bullet train, and the highways, the freeways are very well developed, okay? So that's the location advantage. That's very important, okay? Then let's go to O again, ownership advantage, right? I mentioned Tesla have a lot of advantages in technology, okay? The way of doing things, operations management, the culture, okay? I mean, you get Elon Musk, you know, the culture is, you know, it's just so important. It's software, it's very hard for other people to copy, okay? And then recognition, right? Tesla is a brand name, it's from US. You know, you heard us say many times, right? My neighbor has 2 Teslas, okay? And I bet you know, some of you, money's not a problem, and you probably want to buy a Tesla, right? It's just really a great brand name, okay? But also other core competencies, okay? Tesla is a newcomer coming to the auto industry. They do not have big baggage like GM, Ford, and Chrysler. They know how to do things. They don't have a huge burden of history, so then they can have new advantages in not just patents, in way of making things or thinking things revolutionarily. Anyway, so that's why a lot of advantages Tesla have, okay? The very last one, as I mentioned, called internalization. Remember, it is not internationalization, okay? Direct foreign investment, when they go overseas, is ready to become international or multinational or global anyway. But here, internalization means like, okay, so if you keep things inside your family, you control the process, you control the patterns, you control the technology, and your transaction cost is much cheaper, okay? Another reason is like, you can make sure this technology within your company will not be stolen, okay? Because you totally, wholly owned the company, okay? What Tesla did is like, they built up the company from scratch, they leased the land or the factory for 50 years, so nobody can force you to transfer technology because you are the owner of it. It's totally owned by Tesla. So if you're in a joint venture, right, then you have to share with your partner. You have to share with, suppose if you have a joint venture in China, you have to share with your Chinese partner. If you have a joint venture in India, you have to share with your partner. But in this case, Tesla said, no, we do not want to share our technology. We spend billions of dollars invested. We don't want anybody to copy that. We don't want anybody to steal it. We must keep this inside the house. Okay? So that's the whole OLI framework to explain why Tesla choose direct foreign investment rather than licensing. Because you don't make much money from licensing. Of course, I mean, export, import, that's just small business. And as I say, you don't want to choose alliance or joint venture because you want to keep everything in your house, in the family, okay? Okay, more details here, as I just explained, okay. So basically, the key for ownership is really direct. Means you must own it, okay? Okay, direct ownership of everything. And you're the owner of the key intellectual property rights. But also, remember, we talk about firm itself. You have your own unique VRIO. V means what? Valuable resources. R means rare resources. I means inimitable, means very hard for others to copy. And O is organizational readiness. And I just mentioned culture, Elon Musk, the way of doing things, okay, cannot copy, okay? But again, you know, when you have the total ownership, you reduce the dissemination risk, means like other people cannot, you know, steal your technology, okay? And you have total control. But if you're licensing that, okay, probably some people can kind of like steal your technology. You don't want to do that, okay? Locations, I already just mentioned, right? Basically, some locations put these geographic features that are difficult to match, right? I mentioned Shanghai, I mentioned China, right? So if you talk about manufacturing, still today, a lot of companies will go to China. If you talk about like software and you know, outsourcing, you know, information and programming and coding, you go to Bangalore, go to India, right? So anyway, another thing I mentioned earlier before, basically, the location also provides you with a clusters of economic activities. I mentioned Shanghai, right? Have other, you know, automakers there. You know, yes, electric cars are a little bit different from others. However, you know, they need other components, just like standard cars. I mean, the only difference probably is the engine, right? Because they don't use gas, you know, because they use electric, right? So battery is the most important. So the concept of agglomeration really means like scattered cluster. The best way is really called innovation networks, okay? What does that mean? You know, I think I said in the class before, right? If you want to study apparel company, you know, sports apparel outdoor, you want to come to Oregon. Probably you don't want to go to Arizona, right? The reason, because in Oregon we have Nike here, we have Columbia Sportswear here, we have Adidas here, so they have a lot of talented workers here. If you're willing to pay somebody a little bit more, they come to you, right? So anyway, so there's a lot of advantages in this innovation center, and that's why location advantage is very important, okay? Again, knowledge spillover, right? Skilled workers. I just mentioned Nike, right? Or Columbia, sportswear, Adidas. But you go to Shanghai, you probably have hundreds of thousands of Chinese auto workers that work for other companies. If Tesla wants to pay them 10% more and 20% more, people are going to come over and work for you, right? So anyway, so basically, this is very important. Location is very important for business. We're talking about this in the geographic factor, right? Anyway, just like you buy a house, you want to choose the best location because location gives you a lot of advantages. Okay. Again, we can talk about other specific resources. Shanghai, they have not too far from Shanghai, a lot of areas, they have other factories, could be steel factory, could be others anyway. So they'll give you a lot of advantages, okay? So that's very important to have the right location for Tesla's case, okay? Again, the benefits of internalization, basically, you reduce cross-border transaction costs. I mean, for Tesla's case, they own everything, right? For the software, they can have a platform in the US, and the Chinese engineers work for Tesla can just log into the company, platform and then access all the technology and process, how to get things done, right? So basically, you don't need to pay somebody else off, okay? So let's summarize that, okay? So we talk about L.E.A.D, right? Always remember, in any strategy, the higher risk means what? You need higher returns, okay? So we already know, in a sense, licensing, okay, probably have the lowest risk. Again, some people say export-import, okay? Doesn't really matter, I was here before, yeah. I probably agree licensing has the least risk because what? You make 3 to 5%. And yes, somebody could produce a lot of your stuff without paying you enough loyalty fees, but again, it's just your brand name. But export-import, I have to bring my money. I have to invest in financial capital. I do make higher, we make about 8 to 10% gross margin. Okay, so it's a little bit more higher risk here. And the third one is alliance, joint venture. Yes, you could make good money, however, you have to share with your partner. GM sells more cars in China than US. However, GM only control 49% of the company, the Chinese partner, 51%. That means they have to share 51% of the profit with the Chinese partner, right? Anyway. So the direct investment here, in Tesla's case, you own everything. That means what? You are going to have the highest return, but also remember, a lot of times the highest return also means highest risk, right? Suppose someday, God forbid, if the relations between US and China went sour and then the Chinese government said, hey, Tesla, you have to, give everything back to us. And that means what? Tesla could lose billions of dollars investment, But again, I don't think that's going to happen. Okay. So anyway, so this is the OLI framework. Okay. You must remember this. You must remember this because in your final project, I want you to use the OLI framework to explain why you must have the direct foreign investment strategy. Okay. So remember the OLI framework is very important. All right, talk to you next time. Have a great spring break, and we'll continue next week.